Hello and welcome to episode 10 of From Deep. I'm your host, Luke Jansen, with my co-host, Phil Wiseman. Phil, say hello.
Double digits, double, episode 10. Let's go.
We in the double digits, so is our subscribers. Woo, 16 and counting.
Woo!
Let's get it, double digits.
Have we plateaued? Have we plateaued?
Did we have
as good
16
as we'll get?
in the first week? Well, maybe, but hey, look. We're not going to
Thank
talk
you
about
for
that
listening.
today. Hey, yeah, we're having fun. That's all that matters. When we're at 1,000 show, maybe we'll have 18. Maybe luck will strike us well.
Okay, let's hamper down. Shoot for the stars, aim for the moon. 17. Okay.
From deep. We got a great show today. We are kind of keeping it just two topics because there's just lots to talk about because it's playoff time, baby, and lots going on. First round is anything but not exciting. I mean, it is fantastic. There's been good games after good games after good games, but you're here from deep first. So let's just jump right into that. Phil, rock paper scissors. Are you ready? Are you ready, sir?
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, scissors.
Paper.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Have you noticed I've gone paper every single time?
That's okay. No, my strategy is whatever comes to my head. What are we at? Is that a 4-1 lead or is that a 3-1?
I think so. I think you've cracked it that I've gone paper every time now. I think you finally cracked it.
You got swept, boy. You got swept.
Well, 4-1.
4-1.
Gentleman's sweep.
Gentleman's sweep. Yeah, that's true. Gentleman's sweep.
Mm-hmm. You gave me the first one, and then you've got the next 4.
Strategy. I think about it all week. I'm planning.
There you go.
Okay, so actually, my question comes from Reddit today because it's actually a fantastic question. I'm going to switch it up just a little bit, and I'll have the list here for you. So you can if you had to play one NBA coach active for 25 minutes a game, which coach would you currently use?
Steve Nash.
Yeah, of course.
Steve
But why?
Nash.
Come on now. Give me some help here. What is he going to do? I mean, I understand Steve Nash, but what is he going to do for the Nets?
So he's a future Hall of Famer. He's obviously very good based off of his previous track record.
Yeah.
He's in great shape. You can see the suit fitting well on the sideline. So he seems to be going well with his diet. I think he's embraced that New York kind of well-eating diet. But that's not the reason I'm picking him. I think the reason I would pick him is because me and you could probably start on the Brooklyn Nets and we would still win. So I think any head coach in that sense, I'm going to go with Steve Nash because you've got James Harden, you've got Kyrie Irving, you've got Kevin Durant. Add in a big tall guy, and hey, you're going to do okay.
Can you imagine right? Prime Steve Nash on that team? Prime Steve Nash on any team. It's always going to be a better team. Now, what's your X factor coach? So, because I knew Steve Nash is the obvious pick. Say you don't even have to play 25 minutes. Say you just had to play this guy a couple minutes a game. Maybe he's like 14th, 15th guy off your bench when you're blowing a team out, and you just throwing him in there. Is there any that come to mind that you would put in? I do have an active name here of all the coaches if you want a couple names.
I was thinking Ryan Saunders, but he got fired from the Timberwolves because I think he's like 35. He's a young guy.
I think Dwayne Casey would have some rugged
I was thinking him too. But he's older, right? He's like 60?
Just take age out for the factor. Just assume that these 3 or 4 minutes that they play a game is decent ball. They're not going to get torched. They're playing against the other scrubs on everybody else's team. Dwayne Casey, I feel like I'd throw down. He'd be solid. Another one there. My pick was going to be, and I liked it from Reddit, was Steve Kerr. The Splash.
I was just about to say,
the Splash Brothers. Adding in a third one. Doc Rivers obviously would be good. I don't know if you've ever seen that video of Stan Van Gundy with his handles. Boy can dribble. Did you ever see that YouTube video?
Stan Van Gundy. I would never guess that.
I'm literally not kidding you. If those of you listening, look up Stan Van Gundy YouTube dribble. And he's actually got some sick handles. He's like, wow. I forget who he was training with, whether it was maybe at one of his camps or something. And guy was pulling off crossovers behind the back dribbles in quick transition. Trying to think here. Spolstra? Did Spolstra ever play?
No, he started in the video room. He started in the video room and then worked his way up. I'm trying to think who the Charlotte Hornets head coach is. Luke Walton's a good one.
Luke Walton, where he's played. Scott Brooks played, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. Nick Nurse.
James Borrego. That's what I'm thinking.
Greg Popovich. Breaking ankles. Taking names.
Greg's a little older.
Deep threes. deep threes. But yeah, okay. So we're picking Steve Nash. I think out of that whole list, the only one that's like probably would be able to put out 25 minutes would be like Luke Walton, just because he's not.
Yeah, he
How
keeps
old
in
is
really good
Luke?
shape.
Luke's not that
He's
old.
not. Yeah, he's the same age, I believe, as Richard Jefferson, or a little bit older. And Richard Jefferson just retired a couple years ago. So he was
Yeah,
in.
he's
I'm
only
pretty sure. Correct me
41.
if I'm wrong.
He's 41. He could still
Oh,
technically
okay.
be an active player. Like there's some players that get to 41 to play.
I feel like Luke Walton was in LeBron's draft pick or draft class.
Might have been. All
I'm
right.
gonna
So
check this over
you're
again.
locking in with Steve Nash. I'm locking
The
in
year
with
before, the year before LeBron,
the
Luke
year.
Walton.
So yeah, that's not bad.
That's how long LeBron's been in the league.
He's
It's
he's
still
been
performing
been
this
in it
time.
for a while. You're locking in, yeah. So Steve Nash and I'll lock in with Steve Kerr. They go battle. I
Yeah,
think those guys could battle it out.
those are some great picks. And Luke Walton, I think, is another good one. He's another good one that could come off the bench to rival. I mean, you do King's Court, get the three of them to play. Not bad.
I feel like Nick Nurse would be the worst one. I don't know a lot of these coaches.
Ooh, I feel
He just
so
doesn't
we're
look like
talking.
a baller, Phil. Like I don't know enough about
Yeah,
his history with ball, but like I look at Nick Nurse and I'm like, nah, you don't know. He didn't play. He was a coach. He's always been a coach.
I don't want to body shame anybody, but I would say Nate McMillan maybe would probably be a little bit worse than Nick Nurse. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Uh,
know.
we
I don't
should do
know.
a draft pick of all active coaches one time.
Oh, that would be hilarious. I don't know how we sim that, but
No, we wouldn't. We would just have to talk it out. Maybe we could do like an all-time coach list and draft a
oh, you
team
know
out.
who we haven't mentioned? Brad Stevens. I feel like Brad Stevens can shoot. I feel like he can
Yeah,
shoot.
he could probably shoot. And I mean, who is it for Dallas there? That's Rick.
Rick
Rick's
Carlisle.
pretty
Rick
thin.
Carlisle.
I feel like
Yeah, he's in good shape.
yeah, he's good shape. Either way, that was my question. That'd be fun. Maybe we'll do that later time. All right,
So
what's
that's too funny with your question because my question is also about coaches.
uh oh. Okay.
So my question is, which coach would you like to be that's currently in the playoffs, and why would you like to be that coach?
Oh,
That was going to be my question.
which coach would I want to be?
Yeah, and why? I know that's really funny. We don't time this to our 16 subscribers. We don't time this, so that's pretty good that we had the same kind of idea.
What coach would I want to be? You know what?
Yeah.
Um, just for the troll, I'd love to be Eric Spoelstra right now.
Just because he's done.
Just,
He's done.
yeah,
And he's in Miami.
the pressure's off. I'm going to play some golf now. Might get fired, whatever. You know,
He won't get fired.
No, I know
He
he's
won't
not.
get
I know
fired. Yeah.
that was Jimmy
He's too
Butler's
good.
fault, but I feel like it'd be fun to yell at my team for getting swept. Like it wasn't his fault; it was his team. Like you just run into the locker room, throw some chairs around. You just get super angry. Jimmy Butler said he was stupidly locked in. I'd be like, "You're stupidly gonna get traded." Just completely crushed the morale of
Just
the
a
team.
troll, eh?
And because I have PTSD of the Heat destroying my Raptors way too much, so I picked Spoelstra so I could tear the thing down, tear it
I
down.
like Spolstra too. Plus, you're in Miami. You're on the beach. I mean, if you're just going off of your location alone, doesn't even matter about the team. I like how you're thinking. That's how it is.
Yeah, it's time to relax in Miami.
Time to relax in Miami. I was gonna say Rick Carlisle in Dallas because I feel like coaching someone like Luka Doncic for the next couple of years would be real fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's true. From that standpoint, like an actual wanting to coach rather than taking it off right now.
Just about the
I
lifestyle.
feel like Steve Nash too would be fun. Like
Yeah,
trying to manage those personalities would be
challenging. It'd be challenging. That's why I was gonna say like someone like Frank Vogel, who LeBron's head coach in Los Angeles Lakers, but the coach always gets thrown under the bus with a LeBron team. It's always blamed if they lose. So that's when like Rick Carlisle, a little less profile, up and coming team, not meant to beat the Clippers, and hey, maybe got him on the ropes, right? So
yeah. Yep. No, I like it. Great question. You know what we forgot to do? We forgot to make our from deep sound. So what we'll do is we're gonna make it for our last our question, our insightful question from deep. Sorry that you missed the swish earlier, but it's back now. And our insightful question from deep this week is: should there be more challenge calls during the playoffs? Phil, I'll let you kind of take the lead on that and give me your thoughts.
Yeah, well, we were kind of talking about it pre-show. So should there be more challenges? I'm hesitant to say yes. I like that it's one, but I think one of the big things that we were kind of chatting about is if you win the challenge, I feel that you should be awarded another challenge until basically you run out. I think that's what they do in football. And this way you can kind of, if you've won it, then you go ahead and do it. Because I don't know if you were watching the Lakers game, the last one. I think Frank Vogel challenged 22 seconds into the game because because he's just like, I don't care. We're going to win this game anyways. I'm going to use my challenge right here and now.
So Phil, for those that might not know what a challenge is, I
Yeah,
should
please
ask.
explain.
Yeah. So basically, I know for challenges, if you believe that something has happened that you feel was miscalled, you as a coach have one challenge per game to call on certain plays. And Phil, you're saying I don't know the exact rules on that sense, but basically, if you think of like the basic summary would be like if you think there was a foul or if there's like a travel call that you didn't agree with, you can basically ask for a challenge to be done. They'll review it, and then from there they'll decide whether the challenge was accepted or not. Typically, I remember I was reading it last year, the challenges are declined and that's where there's some controversy on it because the refs are hesitant to say that they made the wrong decision. Like that's your job if you're continuously saying like, I did a bad job. There's some bias in there. That's why I don't love the challenges. Like I feel like it should be reviewed by people who are outside of the game, not the main refs in the game. There's definitely some huge bias on this. Like you basically telling someone they did the job wrong.
Yeah, so just looking up some stats here from the 1920 season. So there were 633 challenges in the season, and 281 of them were overturned. So 44% of the time, the coach is getting them right.
And in what
So
year was that?
last year,
Last year,
1920. Okay. Yeah, so 1920. So
1920?
about 44%. Yeah. Oh, 19-20. 19-20.
It's like
I'm doing the millennial
bro.
thing. 19-20.
You know what? Fantastic on them to have that type of abilities in the 1920s. Good on them.
The video replay is incredible. You should have seen. I think they would have had a hard time because it would be black and white. We're not getting the beautiful 4K screens that we are today. So that
they just send the players
screens,
back
that'd be
out.
hard.
They send the players back out on the court to recreate the play. All right, so you were standing here, you were standing there.
And the ball, did it go off your foot, LeBron? Yeah, it did. Okay, challenge, overturned. There you go. LeBron, you said it.
Yeah, so 44%. But again, it's
still, that's a good amount, right?
That's a lot that I would say, like if a coach is using that. I've seen some that you look at them and I don't know, unless it's super blatant, the refs generally don't overturn it. I think it shouldn't be decided by the refs. I think it should be sent up to a top box or something, somebody who's not in the game.
Yeah, well, they have the ref center, I guess, in Secaucus in New Jersey, just side out of New York City. They have like the NBA replay center there. So I think there is some influence from them, but you're right. It is basically the judgment call from the ones on the floor. And I find the big thing, I don't like the challenges because it really slows down the game. Any kind of NBA replay, I think like we chatted a little bit earlier on, is that it should be done from that single spot. And then this way it's taken away from the judgment call on the court. No feelings are hurt. Just move on and play basketball, right?
Yep. Phil, you're basically saying leave it at one with the increase of a second if they get it right. And I would be on and this is just for playoffs, mind you. Regular season games, play ball. For me personally, playoffs is very important. There's lots going on. Certain plays can literally change the whole momentum of a game, and if there's a no call, that can change things. Now, where I disagree with the challenges being made would be in I'd say the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. I don't want challenge calls because you're slowing down the momentum. You're getting players to sit, and then they lose that. You know what I mean? That you're playing ball in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. I don't think there should be any challenge calls being made there. I do think throughout, I think there should be 2, potentially even 3, up to that last the fourth quarter, 5 minutes.
Almost one a quarter.
Yeah,
one a quarter.
Yeah, I do think, especially in the playoffs. I just think there's a lot of missed calls and coaches really don't use them. But if they had more, I feel like they'd be used more. They just have to be efficient with getting them done though, rather than it takes way too long. Like it's I don't know how they could make it, but I do think in the playoffs there should be more challenge. I'd say 2. because that's 2 for each team. That's a lot. 4
One
in
and a
total.
half.
Yeah.
One and
Yep.
a half.
1.5. So I'd say 2 total
Mhm.
would be my call for the playoffs, especially. There's a play that I saw last night where like Julius Randle, Bojanovic, right?
Bogdanovich, yeah.
Bojanovic. I'm gonna learn these names eventually. Like I know who the players are, but I just don't know how to speak
Hmm.
English. Gets me every time. First language, don't
Happens.
know how to speak it.
Happens
But
to the
yeah,
best of us.
Julius Randle came right through, punched him in the face. I feel like if the refs like they did an instant replay later, and they saw
Hmm.
that, and I think that's a challenge call if the coach sees it. But do you make it on a play like that? Probably not, because you only got one, and it's not a possession change. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, it's a hot topic, right? So I think it's good to kind of have these conversations, debate it. New York, Secaucus going to be listening. I think that was our 16th subscriber that way back when subscribed. So you guys know what to do.
All right, Phil, are you ready for NBA playoffs? Bum, 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 ba-na-na-na, bum, 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 ba-na-na-na, bum, 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 ba-na-na-na. NBA playoffs. Deep. Let's go. Phil is going to be taking us with the East, run us through it. We're going to be talking about basically where the series is at, kind of what's going on in that series. We're going to give you what we predicted last week and how we're doing, and then we'll jump over to the West. Phil, take us away on the East.
Yeah, so East, there's a little bit of tension growing with a couple teams, not as close as in the West, but 76ers just won a few minutes ago to now go up 3-0 against the Washington Wizards, the
What?
play-in Wizards. I
No.
know, I know, I know. And they beat them by a combined 61 points in those 3 games. So they've pretty well handed them how the victory's gone. Tobias Harris has been the big surprise. He's been playing really, really well as a third fiddle to obviously Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons had a good first game, 15 rebound, 15 assists, and 6 point game, which is very interesting. And obviously Russell Westbrook triple double in this last one here, and the infamous popcorn thrown at him as he goes into the tunnel. I think that's probably the most exciting thing about the series. Your
Yeah.
thoughts, Luke?
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats right now as I'm just seeing them pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Westbrook 26, Bradley Beal 25, 16 from Daniel Gafford. I mean, that's if they're not being able to do it with what Russell getting a triple double. Yeah, this series, I still think they get one just because Russell's heart is too big. I think somehow they might squeeze out a one win. I'm gonna hold to that, but yeah, this series pretty much over. The only exciting thing is Westbrook getting popcorn thrown at him from a season ticket holder. Pretty disgraceful. Like that's yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
just look. I know you get heated into it, whatever, but don't be dumping popcorn on a player. That's not cool. But yeah,
No,
there's what was your predictions on that, Phil? I know for mine I had let me slide it up here. I got it. I had Philly in 5.
I had the same thing. Philly in 5. Still holding true. I could maybe switch that to 4 after this last game here. So we'll see what happens though.
This would be in Washington, right? Next game?
It'll be in
Next
Washington.
yeah.
That's right.
I think they take one. I think they got it.
You take one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll switch mine to 4. I think I'll put him down to 4, but I think Philly, unless Joel Embiid, and then we got Ben Simmons, and then we got Tobias Harris running into each other and smashing their heads into each other, getting concussions. I think that's the only way they're losing this series. That's the only
Well,
way.
they're not
A
going to
little
lose the
three-way
series, but
concussion.
I do think the Wizards
No.
take one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So that first round series, probably the least exciting, maybe behind one other, but we'll save that for last, or save that for second last. We've got next the Brooklyn Nets versus the Boston Celtics. Nets leading 2-1. Tatum had a massive game last night, 50 points. The Celtics have been playing well in that last one, but Brooklyn still leads the series. James Harden 41 and 10 in the last one. I think you were given a really good stat a little while ago just about James and how well he's been playing, Luke. But what do you think of this series so far?
Yeah, so I mean Tatum's 50-point night. I good on them. I thought the Celtics were pretty banged up. They struggled late in the season. I really had no confidence in them. So great on them.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum had a great game. Marcus Smart had a great game. I love this is what I love to see because I don't want the Nets to win, and I love the fact that a beaten up Celtics who are messed up can take one from the Nets. I think that's good. Get into their head, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I did. Well, I will say that I did have the Nets sweeping Boston, so I did not think the Celtics would take one. So I was wrong there. Um, I don't know if the Celtics take another one. I do think the Nets are gonna wrap that up two games straight.
Yeah.
But the one of the cool things I did want to say was, and which I don't know, it's kind of dangerous, but in last night's playoff game, so between Nets Celts, nobody else scored a field goal rather than Brooklyn's big three with 27 minutes left in the game.
Wow. In the last game, game 3.
27 minutes.
Wow.
The only people to put in buckets were the big Brooklyn's big three.
Hey, those guys average a lot of points a game, so kind of makes sense.
I
Harden did
know,
have 40
but
points.
that's I mean, if you get a good defense team,
I'm
James
excited for
Harden,
round 2.
yeah,
I'm
when
excited for round 2.
letting Tatum drop 50, I don't know, I had Brooklyn going in 7. That's what I wrote in there just because of the star power. But I don't know, Milwaukee really well. We'll talk about that here in a second.
Yeah. So we had to go to the next one. Bucks just beat the Heat 4-0. Jimmy had a triple double in the last one, probably the quietest triple double I've seen in a long time. Giannis had a triple double as well to win the game. One of the really interesting things is Giannis was not shooting outside of the paint. He was basically just bringing it to the paint, really driving it. Bryn Forbes, I don't think either of us saw Bryn Forbes lighting it up as he has in this series. It shows that obviously the Bucks have really built their team around 3-point shooting, and they're looking to kind of spread the floor. And I think we can almost look towards that next matchup with the Nets because, as we're kind of alluding to, Brooklyn will probably be playing the Bucks unless something catastrophic happens in this series with the Celtics and the Nets. But a game of Harden, Durant, and Kyrie versus Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis, that'll be an incredible round 2 series. I'm really excited for that personally. So I had Bucks in 6 in this series. I was dead wrong. Bucks swept in 4. So very interesting to say the least. What are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I mean, the Heat definitely didn't show up. I didn't expect
No.
them to. I think I had Milwaukee in 6 just because the Heat are known to be
Mm-hmm.
kind of a tough grit team. I did talk about. I know last week that I said that they're aging, and a lot of their players, they weren't going to be a surprise this year. People knew what they could do. They studied it out, and Milwaukee did their homework and took care of business. Milwaukee's looking serious. Drew Holiday was a fantastic ad. He's brought some really great offense and big clutch plays that just weren't there last year from a veteran point guard for them. Miami looked lost most of the time. Like well, I mean, look, Jimmy Butler's supposed to be their guy. He averaged 14.5 points. And he shot 30% from the field, 27% from the three, and said he was stupidly
Ouch.
locked in. He
Ouch.
did not show up, and I think it was their backup small forward actually scored 60 points in the 4 games, and Jimmy Butler scored 58.
Hmm.
I forget
Wow.
the name of I just saw that on Reddit there, but yeah, so he got outscored by the guy who's coming off the bench behind him. So I mean, you're not winning games if Jimmy buckets ain't getting buckets. So that was
Would that have been Hero, I guess? Tyler Hero been
no,
doing
it
that? Would he
was
be
let me pull up Miami Heat roster. It
Kendrick
was
Nunn, maybe perhaps? Kendrick Nunn was more of a guard, and then I guess you've got Iguodala coming off the side too. So
I
yeah, either way, that's an impressive stat. That's not a good sign for Miami, like you're saying. So
yeah.
I think, like, just to kind of bring it back to one of the points you said, I think the Holiday over Bledsoe upgrade, you can really see the difference. You can really see how much of a player, a quality player like Drew Holiday, really brings to the Bucks. And the other thing that's really interesting is that Antetokounmpo, Middleton, and Holiday are locked in for another 3 years. They're going to have more continuity. They're going to continue to grow as players. I think this is just the start of things for the Bucks and how well they play.
Giannis is a good leader too. He's the type
Yeah,
of guy you'd want to
he
play
is.
for.
Hmm.
So I mean, he goes out there and does it himself and makes his teammates play well with him. So yeah, I could see a lot of people wanting to stay with him and play with him. Yeah, it was an overall fun series in the sense of like, let's see what Milwaukee can do. Maybe this is their year. Obviously, their last couple of years they've kind of been there and haven't really done much, and this might be their time. There was a little bit of sass coming out from the Bucks social media afterwards. Said this isn't the bubble.
Ooh,
Yeah, and then they
throwing
had.
heat at the Heat.
Oh
I
well,
like
they
it.
they kind of been
I like
bashing the
it.
Heat have been bashing them. So Milwaukee's social media had blasted. During the game, the Miami fans were yelling at 1, 2 because Giannis has been taking roughly about 10 seconds to
Oh
shoot.
yes.
So they had the Miami fans go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it switched to Charles Barkley sweeping, and that was from the Bucks' main social media. It's like,
Oh no.
oh, you know what?
Oh,
They're sassy, man. The Bucks. They played. Remember, they played the Barney music for the Raptors when they came in. They played
oh
Quiet's Laugh.
yes.
They played.
That's
They're
true. Yeah.
so the Bucks social media. Kind of looking forward to see what happens with this next series against the Nets. So yeah,
No
that was the
kidding.
funnest part of that series was the social media.
No kidding. Well, the probably the most exciting series of the East so far is
New
the New York
York.
Knickerbockers against the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks up 2-1. You love your New York Knicks. Trey Young getting Trey is balding chance in the Garden. Oh my goodness, this series is so much fun to watch. I've only managed to catch a couple minutes of this series thus far, but it's you can see Atlanta's talent versus New York's hard working grit, which I think the New York Knicks fans love.
Yeah.
So I think it's been an awesome series thus far. That's all I got to say so far.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Other than Trey Young getting spit on,
Yeah, not so good. No.
yeah. Again, I don't know what's up with these fans, and it's just like the popcorn I kind of get, I, like what I
Spitting on
mean.
someone with coronavirus, like
But
spitting on someone in general,
just
and then you've got a pandemic
spitting on
and you
someone
spit on someone.
in general, just
Oh,
in
that's ridiculous.
reality,
Yeah.
like just spitting on anybody is just disgusting.
Such a
Like I
disrespectful
honestly, I
move.
think
My
that guy should
God.
be charged. Or fined. Like I don't think your season tickets
He shouldn't be allowed into another Knicks game, in my
he shouldn't be
opinion.
allowed into any arena, any type
Yeah.
of sporting events. You spit
Hmm.
on someone.
Yeah,
Like
it's
just in general, as a
ridiculous.
human being, you imagine just walking along and somebody spit on you. That person doesn't deserve any type of fun anymore. Like
No,
that's disgusting.
100%.
Trey Young balling out. He's cocky as all could be. You love to see it from an upcoming superstar who's losing his hair quite young. Maybe he's the next LeBron. He's losing a lot earlier than LeBron did.
Put in
Silence the
those plugs,
crowd.
Trey. Put in those
Si-
plugs.
Silence the crowd at the end of game one.
I think it was like this. I think this is how he held it up. Finger to the forehead versus to his mouth. I think that's what a lot of people
Three
are
to the
making fun
dome.
of him on social media.
And then Derrick Rose said, "Hey, this is part of the game of basketball. I love to see it. Just know that when you do stuff like that, the next game's going to get harder." Derrick Rose comes out second game, 26 points, leads the team for the Knicks, and again last night for their other game, 30 points. Derrick Rose leading the Knicks in shooting and scoring right now, which is awesome to see from a six-man. Who's getting a lot of minutes. It's fun to watch. This series is going to be a ton of fun. If Julius Randle somehow figures out what's going on, I do think this series goes down to. I don't even know what I picked. I think I picked Atlanta in 7, just because they have more depth.
I picked Hawks in 6. Yeah.
Yeah, they have more depth. They're a little bit more well put together, but and Randall's woes right now are killing them. After winning Most Improved Player, he's not showed that he's the Most Improved Player in the playoffs.
I was going to say, like, one of the things, like, if the Knicks is going to win this series, Derrick Rose can't be a leading scorer. Julius Randle and RJ Barrett really need to step up and come to the table. Like, it's good that he's putting in these numbers, but he can't be leading the team if the Knicks are going to win this series.
No, that's what I said. I expected one big game from Derrick to kind of take the team out, and he did it last game and got them the dub. But yeah, you can't be putting those type of minutes into Derrick Rose and expect it. He just won't last the whole playoffs. And you need him for the whole playoff series if you're going to get through that first one. Just to give some stats, similar to Jimmy Butler, 14.7 points on 24% field goal shooting and 30% from the three. Julius Randle right now. So suffice to say, he's struggling because when he did play Atlanta in normal season, he averaged 37.3 points per game, 12.3 rebounds per game on 58% shooting on them in the regular season. So he's torched this team. And right now he's
struggling.
It's got to be a mental. That's the only thing I can imagine. There's some type of mentality going on. He's just got to break through it. And having a guy like Derrick Rose going out and just playing hard and a former MVP, I'm hoping Derrick Rose is in his ear. I hope they've built a good friendship because, for this season, for the series to have any type of hope, Randall needs to get together.
I think that's what a lot of people that took the Knicks to win is because of how well Randall played. in the regular season against the Hawks. So if he can get back to that type of form, extends the series, that's how I think the Knicks can win. But
Yep.
I still have Hawks in 6.
Yeah, I'm holding out for Atlanta in 7. I just think they're too deep compared to the Knicks. But we'll see. We'll see. This is a conversation we'll talk about next week and see what happens. I'm excited for that series. Now we're gonna jump over to the West, and we'll start it off with honestly, what's the Utah Memphis? It's tied 1-1 right now. It's kind of a fun series. I really haven't had a chance to watch a lot of it other than highlights, but even right now, I think the game is quite close. Let me see here.
The game's on right now. It's 34-22. End of the first.
For the Jazz Grizzlies. Jordan Clarkson ended up getting 6th man of the year. Congrats to him. He's played really well. Yeah, what's your thoughts on the series? I don't know what's gonna happen. I put Utah in 6. I did change it up before I locked in my picks.
I had Jazz in 5. I think a big reason why they won game 1 is they didn't have any Donovan Mitchell minutes. He sat game 1. He played game 2 and they handed it to the Grizz. I think if Donovan Mitchell is healthy, I think the Grizz will continue to kind of go in that method, and I think they'll maybe still win in 5. They've got the altitude as well as an advantage in Utah, so win these 2 in Memphis, wrap it up at home. I think Jazz maybe do that. That's my thoughts, at least. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I it's tough to say. Memphis is like, they kind of remind. There's always that one team in the playoffs. Like, they kind of remind me of the Heat last year. They're not going to beat the Jazz. I'm not saying that, but it's kind of like that team that's like, how do you prepare? Because they probably weren't preparing to play Memphis. They're preparing to play Golden State. They're preparing to play the Lakers. They weren't preparing to play Memphis. So this was a little bit of a shock to them. And I think they'll squeeze out another game. They're a pretty gritty team, man. The Memphis grit and grind. I mean, I know obviously with Zebo,
it's back.
But yeah, like Ja
rebooted.
I look at Ja. Ja's a stud. He's a great.
He's getting 36.5 a game through these first 2 and Jonas, shooting 55%.
Jonas has become quite the player. You know, sad to see him leave the Raptors. As one player that I feel like would have developed very well there had he stayed. I understand why we got rid of him, but I always liked him. He's had some couple big games. You know, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks. Like, yeah, it's the future is bright. The future is bright for Memphis. But yeah, so I'll keep with Utah in 6. Our next series up that I want to talk about here, I'll just jump down to the one on my picks, is Clippers Dallas, which has been just very exciting. Currently, right now, Dallas is up 2-1. It's just wow. If you're watching NBA basketball, make sure you're coming in for the Clippers Dallas game, because you're watching Luka just unbelievable play right now. Now, I don't know if you did see the news. It came out maybe about 6 hours ago, but there is a potential chance of Luka sitting game 4 due to a cervical strain after he complained post game 3 about pain in his neck and down his left arm. So this is something similar to what Chris Paul had, is what they're saying. No. So more than likely, Luka's young enough. He's probably going to play. Like, he'll play through it, but that's very scary, because if he's playing through pain, there's not a lot of other players who've been stepping up. Kristaps has kind of been non-existent. He's supposed to be their number 2. He's like their number 6 right now. Their backup point guard for Dallas is averaging more rebounds than Kristaps, and I'm pretty sure he's 5'11". Campo? Is it No,
Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So he's getting more rebounds, and I think Kristaps is averaging about 3 rebounds a game right now. It's 7-1? 7-2?
Yeah, it's 7-1. It's yeah, I think the way that the Clippers have been playing Luka, it's been very interesting, because I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. If you like basketball, watch these games, because the way the Clippers are trying to defend Luka is they're throwing whole different types of coverages at him. They're throwing doubles. They're hedging on screen, so they're putting one man above a screen. They're doing all these different ways, and Luka is still finding a way to score and pass the ball. I think, like, one of the big things that I was listening to a couple podcasts this week, they were really highlighting the evolution of Luka's post-up game and how well he's kind of taken that to the next level as well. Already in year 3 here, he's doing things that probably would take 8 years normally for a guy, but he's got a post-up game. He had 44, 9 and 9 in the last game. I hope he's healthy. I did not hear that news, so I hope he's healthy, and I hope that they can kind of bring this back. I did pick the Clippers originally to win in 6. I would love the Mavericks to win. I absolutely love the Mavericks
I
too.
locked it in on my NBA picks, Dallas in 7.
Oh, you did.
I
Oh, good
did.
on you.
And there's a couple reasons that I'll quickly run over it right now.
Mm.
Although I was just looking, I noticed JJ hasn't played a minute. Very surprising.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just surprised just from his playoff experience that he hasn't been getting some minutes. But my reason that I think Dallas takes it, obviously barring this injury, if this is a big injury and Luka's playing injured, then the Clippers win because Luka's everything. But Kawhi Leonard in his last game, 36 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks on 13 of 17 shooting. An unbelievable
Incredible.
game. Incredible game. They only won by 10.
Yeah, shooting 13 of 17.
Your superstar has to basically play the most efficient game he's ever played in his life. And that's just not, let's be honest, 13 of 17 is not
sustainable.
Not real. That's not sustainable.
No.
And to only win by that little is like that's dangerous.
Surprising.
And even Paul George had a great. I think he was 11 of 17. Paul George had a great game too. Like those guys were super efficient. On 11 of 17 shooting. Like he was just very efficient as well. Like there's 2 superstars were super efficient and they didn't win by much. So definitely some scary things for the Clippers. I hope Dallas takes it.
Agreed. That's a great series though so far.
Yeah, the next 2 series we're talking about are going to be fantastic. Denver Portland. It's tied up 2-2. Portland took care of business again today. Behind Norm Powell, 29 points. Let's go, baby. Toronto Raptors.
We the Norm.
Getting out there, killing it. If you haven't watched that, I've been watching all those games because I'm a huge Melo fan. My boy. It's been fun, man. I still have Portland in 7. That's my hope. But I don't know, man. This series is gonna go down to Game 7. There's no way it doesn't. These guys are battling back and forth.
I haven't watched this series just yet, but Nuggets in 7 is what I had originally. I think it's really interesting to see like a Facundo Campazzo and Austin Rivers backcourt take on Damian Lillard and CJ McConnell. And then you've got obviously Jokic doing what he can as well. So
Austin Rivers won Game 3.
He did. He won Game 3.
I watched it. And I was crying.
As Austin Rivers hits the 3. I did see the highlight where he turned away from basically passing the ball to Jokic, took the 3 and hit it in the fourth quarter.
On
Dame. He was consistent.
So I watched that, and Melo was, again, I love my Melo, and he was rough. He was coming in and not very great. I think he had 4 points, 2 of 6, 2 of 7. I was like, not good. But I left him on the floor. He came down, splashed a 3. I was like, all right, here we go. Comes down, takes Joker one-on-one, gets fouled, gets to the line, and boom, boom. Comes down, hits another corner 3. He went on a 14-0 run for the Blazers. But again, Austin, I was like, all right, we're getting into it. And then after those M1s, or after the free throws, Austin Rivers just decided to hit 4 threes in a row.
The Austin Rivers game. There you go. Game
Austin
3.
Rivers. But then you could even say like Norman Powell, who was going to guess he would be the 29-point leader. Like the series has been led by like not the all-stars.
Yeah, surprising and unexpected stars or unexpected role players really stepping up to be stars.
Which is why the series is going to be a ton of fun, and I really do believe it's going to go down to the wire. It's got to go to a Game 7. Maybe Game 6 if somebody squeezes a little bit of a lead, but it should be going to Game 7. Last but not least, of course, we got to talk about Phoenix Lakers. You got to talk about LeBron last because he's the most fun. Lakers currently up.
Save the best for last.
Lakers up 2-1. Phoenix obviously struggling a little bit of, you can see again the playoff inexperience. You can see that with the injury to Chris Paul. That's tough for them on limited minutes. He's your floor general. They desperately needed him in Game 1. It showed that he's just the guy. Devin Booker frustrated especially with that foul on Schroeder as uncalled for. It was a hard shove.
It was a hard foul.
Yeah, it's kind of a dirty foul. I know you get frustrated, but like that, yeah, don't bring that into the game, man. Just play your game. You're Devin Booker. That's what the Lakers side, they get in their head. Let LeBron, AD do their thing. Now, Anthony Davis left knee sprain as 6 hours ago, is questionable for Game 4. KCP also listed as questionable. Not.
Yeah, he went down. He went down in that game as well.
You know, you have potentially now have a Phoenix take Game 2 if that's true. If Anthony Davis is out, they don't win. I don't think, unless LeBron pulls like an incredible game, which you can't throw by LeBron. He very well could. He very well could have a big game. But what's your thoughts on the series, Phil?
Chris Paul being hurt really sucks.
Yep.
That's probably my biggest thing and takeaway from this series. I was expecting more from him, but obviously he's injured and hurt and can't really play. Cameron Payne has actually really stepped up in the fourth quarter. Cameron Payne, I think, hit like 3 threes in a row. He almost had like a mini Austin Rivers outburst himself, which was very impressive. But I still think the Lakers win. I feel like Anthony Davis and LeBron have just played a half each of these games to win. They haven't been playing full games. If Anthony Davis isn't playing the next game, I think that will play a big factor because DeAndre Ayton's been fantastic as well this series. He's been really good.
Having a sophomore season, same as Dwight Howard's sophomore season in stats, a little bit higher actually.
Wow, there you go. He's been phenomenal. I gotta say that's a real big bright spot for the Suns' future. Is Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton have really played relatively well together, and they're getting their lumps in the playoffs. If they win this series, it's fantastic. But I still have the Lakers in 6 in this series.
I think actually I took Lakers in 7. That was my final lock in on there. Now, last game Chris Paul went up from 23 minutes to 27 minutes, so showing that he's playing more. He doesn't need to score for them. That's the thing. Like, he just needs to be healthy. He just needs to be on the floor. He's a net positive when he's on the floor. And if he's not, I think
the big thing the Lakers are starting to realize that he can't shoot and doesn't want to shoot. So he hasn't taken a 3. I don't think he didn't take a 3 the last game. I don't know if he's taken any 3s this series because of his shoulder pain. So the Lakers have really just been playing off of him completely.
Yeah, so that's fine.
It's kind of like the Rondo defense strategy, right? Where you're just completely playing off of the guy. If they do that, then I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they play him more or how he's feeling, because that shoulder injury does not look nice if he can't shoot a 3.
Yeah, I think the Suns have done it all season. Like, they have a lot of scores. They really just need him to be a floor general. Like, the more he's on the floor, he's going to make better plays and set up the Suns, because he's Chris Paul. He's Hall of Fame point guard. I think when he is off the floor, the Phoenix Suns are at a disadvantage.
Yeah, Cameron Payne's played really well, but he can't replace Chris Paul.
No, so as long as Chris Paul's minutes can get back up, I do think they battle out, but I do think the Lakers take it in 7. Yeah, the series is a ton of fun. That's our wrap up for this week. But if you haven't been watching games, jump in. The West, I would say every series is fun. Even if Utah and Memphis, you might not know a lot of players there, but man, those are fun games. Right now, Memphis is only down by 8. They're fighting, gritting and grinding. The East, not so fun. It's kind of
wait till round 2.
Yeah,
wait till round 2.
Round 2 starts picking up a little bit more. Obviously, Brooklyn and Milwaukee is going to be huge, but watch those New York Atlanta games. New York, Derrick Rose going for 80. Well,
and the headphones failed me.
Oh, that's all right. It's a little end of game switch up. End of game switch up. But yes, that is our show. We hope you guys have a lovely rest of your week, and we will catch you next week for episode 11. Phil, close us off. Any final things you would like to say to the people?
Trust your AirPods, but don't trust them past 35 minutes. That's all I got to say.
And with that, we are out. Peace.